Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Thread. Okay, Abba, welcome back.
All right, good. It's
back
good
in the studio.
I see you rearrange the seating.
Yeah.
Just for a little bit of a change of pace. It's
Change
very
things
nice.
up. We can look at each other instead of sitting next to each other.
Well, we had a good couple of days away, and it's good to be back. It was we left on time. We landed on time, and we were talking about Yeshiva week.
Yeah.
But I miscalculated. I thought Yeshiva week starts next week. I didn't realize it starts today for a lot of yeshivas.
It's very interesting.
Other yeshivas start next week. They don't want to have they don't want to have it at the same time for
Why not?
various reasons. I don't know. I think I know, but I don't want to get into that necessarily.
So it happens to be on that topic. David Bashevkin tweeted today. He said, "Yeshiva week begins. Rav Tuchashinsky, 1:16, 12:03 a.m. Rav Moshe Feinstein, 1:23, 12:38 a.m. One who finds it difficult to vacation can break their yeshiva week after Shki on Martin Luther King." He also tweeted that you could write an entire Talmudic tractate on why New York and New Jersey are unable to coordinate the same yeshiva week. It's true. It's like, why can't we just have the same week off? You have kids off now. You have kids off next week.
They don't want the girls mixing with the boys. Okay, can I state it clearer than that? How are we going?
That's alleged. That's alleged.
No, it's not alleged.
Who's your source?
How are we going?
Who's your source?
How are we going to have a shidduch crisis in the future if the boys and girls are together? So we have to maintain the traditions that we're accustomed to. Which means that there has to be people struggling and shidduchim dating 5 or 10 years.
I think you're being sarcastic.
We have to maintain that these are things that we worked very hard to achieve, and but that's basically it.
I think you're being sarcastic.
It sounds sarcastic.
It does.
But the fact of the matter is that is the motivation behind the whole inability to coordinate the schedules.
Okay,
that's basically it.
I hear. So let's read some feedback from the mailbox.
Okay.
So this is in response to our Bas Mitzvah discussion yesterday.
Yeah.
We got an email that says here, in Israel, the big party event of a Bas Mitzvah is done in the school once a year for over 25 years already. A Bat Mitzvah is meant to be done with a modicum of tznius, and as such, only family members and no friends. Also, so as not to cause jealousy of a girl's family did not have the financial means to cover the cost of a big affair. Mm-hmm. Similarly, for a bar mitzvah in many places in Eretz Yisrael, that there is either something in the shul of the family as a big kiddush or a smaller event in an auditorium. Also, many places, even for a wedding, music is supposed to end by 11 p.m. This is from Mikimi from Tzfas.
Okay, so they're listening or watching all over the world.
Tzfas, yeah.
So remember your bar mitzvah? Your bar mitzvah was a destination bar mitzvah, right?
That was the last bar mitzvah you made.
That was in Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah.
And you had a party here. Did you have a party here?
I did.
Yeah. Remind me where it was.
It was in North Lamar, or Torah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Making me feel old, though. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, wow. Anyway, in terms of...
so, I mean, by that response from Mikimi from Tzfas, I figure that vacation week should also be... Yeshiva week should also sort of be, limited.
No, but we live in a free society, in a free country.
Yeah, but I know we live in a free society, free country.
You can't legislate those types of things. By design, the world has. Today they call it inequity.
Mm-hmm.
But that's by design. It says in before Rosh Hashanah we always read Parsha Netzavim. All of you are standing before Hashem. You're all standing before Hashem today. All you, from the highest levels to the water carriers and the woodcutters. What? The water carriers and the woodcutters? That's lower level type of employment, but they're included in it. The fact of the matter is that there's going to be different levels of people in terms of their ability to achieve or not achieving in life, and everyone has their role. It's not a bad
I know, but
thing.
why can't that?
It doesn't work.
But why can't that be the same reasoning for Bas Mitzvah, for there being open season when it comes to Bas Mitzvahs?
Like I said yesterday, if you want to make this type of uniform type of way of doing things, you are doing the same thing as the government tried to do over the last couple of years with masks and the vaccine. You can't legislate.
So you're not in favor of any uniform rule.
When I say something like this, when I say that, for example, when I say that there has to be more loosening of the restrictions so that young men can meet young women in a natural, normal way, right away, even they'll see the look on your face right now, is that I'm suggesting the craziest, wildest thing you can possibly imagine. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying there has to be space between what we have right now, which is not working that well, and what I'm looking for to happen in the future. You can't go from 0 to 100 in 5 seconds.
Right. No, I hear.
It's just not working. And it's working for some people.
Yeah.
But it's hurting too many people. And I
don't think you're going to find something that's going to be good for everybody, though.
And it's working for people who are pretty much have the influence and the communal strength to regulate these things. So by them, everything's okay. What are you getting involved? Everything's okay. And the people that have these struggles, have these challenges, don't have the koyach. They don't have the influence. They don't have the power to change things. Anyway.
Another email we got.
My opinion.
A little bit long. Hi, thanks so much. The no bas mitzvah rule is a recent thing. It's not only about money, it's also about the social situation.
Social?
If someone's being bullied, they or two girls will be singled out and not be invited. They will be bound to never forget that. I grew up with a party in school that parents were invited, and there was a brunch with the girls at a Devar Torah. At Devar Torah, there was a small project, a game, mid-year. We made a bas mitzvah play. Honestly, why do we have to raise the bar? If we don't have to, let's not get sidetracked in partying. After all, let's remember the reason why we're celebrating. As you see with everything, we get super sidetracked very quickly and then complain how ridiculous everything has become, because after all, it's for a higher reason. Regarding Yeshiva Week, I live in Brooklyn, and this is the first year I'm hearing it being called that way. I think it's a hysterical way to call it, but okay. But when I was in high school, not long ago at all, everyone flew everywhere for midwinter vacation, and I did not, because my parents thought it was ridiculous. The pressure is about where you're going with who. I also remember in 12th grade, there was a class reunion in Florida, and me and my friends who did local activities were just left out of every conversation going on because we didn't get color or have pictures of ourselves. In other words, it became a bit ridiculous, and schools aren't looking for more headaches controlling people's lives. I think they have to go to an extreme and just trying to normalize things. And any of family members of mine run a school. I think society has gone crazy to a certain amount. I hear that. It's a tough thing, Yeshiva Week.
Yeah, listen, I just
think the rules inconsistent. No bas mitzvahs, but Yeshiva Week.
Last night I came home. I told you. I don't know if I told you that before we started taping or not, but last night JFK looked like a yeshiva. I have to tell you,
so you got a minion there.
It's a long walk from getting off the plane, the Delta terminal, all the way to the luggage carousel. So you get to see. I mean, every place you look.
Well, I think we should show the video.
Oh, you have a video?
I think we should show the video.
I don't know if you're going to show the video. For the first time in my life.
Can we show the video?
Yes, you can show the video. For the first time in my life, I didn't know how long.
One second. Roll the tape.
Okay, we're on the baggage claim truck. Finally, after all these years. Got a little bit of a ride in the airport. Whoa, short stop. Oh, I don't know if there were stops. No, we're not taking a wheelchair.
You have to say they offered this to us.
Yes, they forced us on here.
I guess we look young.
We didn't ask for it.
Okay, now can you explain yourself?
Yeah, sure. It's a long walk. I didn't know how long the walk was from when you get off the plane at the Delta terminal till you get to your luggage carousel and go outside. And some woman, there's golf carts driving around, and a woman stopped and said, "We have 2 seats here on the back. Do you want to get on?" So we looked at each other, me and Ima, and let's get on. And we got on the thing, and it was a long ride. And I was very fortunate that I didn't have to walk all that distance. So I took out my phone and I recorded.
Like you do with everything, you recorded.
Not everything.
Most things.
Something. It's an important historical moment because I've been walking through airports for decades, and I'm going to do it again.
You
that's the way to go. It's the way to travel in these places.
You reach that age.
It's nothing to do with age. It has to do with space on the golf cart. There's no seats. There's no seats.
So who do you know?
No, I just was mamish siyata d'shmaya yesterday. We couldn't get over what a long distance it was. But we made it, and luggage came out, and I just looked before. It's 81 degrees today and sunny in Boynton Beach, and we're here. I think when I left here 10, 12 days ago.
Same weather.
Same exact thing. Has it been like this for the last week and a half?
You bet it's been.
No sun for the last week and a half.
There's one day I think that had sun,
but no snow either. So you're good. Oh, I should say that for the first time in my life, Shabbos morning in South Florida, where we live, was 39 degrees Shabbos morning. I've never seen that before.
You just said where we live.
Yeah, we live. We have a residence.
So you're like, that's your home now?
No, that's one of our homes, Baruch Hashem.
Okay, well, let's get to our first story for today.
Oh, I thought that was the story.
Let's get to our second story for today.
Today.
Breaking news, Alec Baldwin was charged with involuntary manslaughter.
All right.
For the fatal Rush shooting. So for those who don't know, there's an actor.
Involuntary manslaughter.
Involuntary.
Big difference.
Just a few years.
No, I don't think he's not going to go to jail. It was a terrible, terrible accident. And
for those who don't know, he was on the set of a movie. They were shooting a movie, and he thought he had a gun with a plank in it, not a bullet. Yeah. And he pointed at one of the producers, and he shot it, and it was a real bullet, and he killed somebody.
Yeah, he claims that he didn't pull the trigger. He claims he didn't pull the trigger. He won the interviews a few months ago.
So if he didn't pull the trigger, I don't get that part.
I don't know. Is there going to be? There's not going to be a trial. That'll be too lucky for all the television news stations to have Alec Baldwin on trial for involuntary manslaughter. I think they're going to negotiate something, and he's not going to go to jail, and he'll have to do some kind of community service and take some kind of classes about gun safety, and that type of thing. The one thing that it achieved, it gave Joe Biden and the reckless way he handles
gun safety
classified documents. It gave him like a day off today. Yeah. For one day, they're not talking about it ad nauseum, nonstop. They're talking about Alec Baldwin today. So a good lucky day for Joe Biden. He gets one day off at least.
I hear you. What do you got for us?
What do I have for you? I have a few things for you.
What's JVAC? I've been hearing a little bit about JVAC.
All right. So here's the 5 Towns Jewish Times. So there's 2 stories I did this week. One is about it's called the JVAC model. Yeah. JVAC is the Jewish Volunteer Ambulance Corps in what's it called? Palm Beach County, Florida. It's not called Hatzalah. Okay, because if you read the article, they had differences. There are nuanced differences. They're very interesting differences.
What types of differences?
Well, you see, the primary goal, the primary objective of Hatzalah is to save people's lives.
Yeah.
Okay? Or if someone gets sick, to keep them alive until they get to the hospital. That is the main thing. That's 99.9% of why they exist. Okay. Then there's a lot of other things going on, okay, that you could call them maybe politically charged in a way. So, number one, it's a big problem. Even here in the 5 Towns, we do a lot of advertising in the 5 Towns Jewish Times for local Hatzalah in the 5 Towns, Hatzalah in Queens, Hatzalah in Brooklyn, Hatzalah in the Catskills, and United Hatzalah in Eretz Yisrael, and it gets very confusing. The point is this. It's not controversial, Nachi. The point is this. How should the average guy like me and you be able to discern and be able to tell the difference between Hatzalah in the Catskills and Hatzalah in the 5 Towns?
I mean,
if we give money to Hatzalah, we give money to Hatzalah.
I know, but anyone who understands is like, what's the difference between giving to a good shul over here and a good shul in Brooklyn? They're 2 different shuls. They're 2 different mezzahs. They're 2 different places. So if someone wants to donate to Hatzalah Catskills, it's Hatzalah Catskills. Someone wants to donate to Hatzalah in Rockaway Lawrence, it's RL.
You can't expect the average person who's just
why not?
Because he's not mechuyev to be able to know that.
Okay, so what's JVAC?
So JVAC couldn't come to an agreement with the Hatzalah organization in South Florida.
Why?
Nothing to do with New York, because of the confusion that would take place about fundraising. I believe
seems weak. Okay,
seems weak. Anyway, that and also JVAC has Hatzalah volunteers that are women. They have men and women that do that. And in New York, all of New York, that is a no-no.
Right.
And in Florida, it's more accepted. It's a different culture, different cultural type of thing. And that's another reason why they couldn't use the Hatzalah name.
So what do you write about JVAC?
I wrote about the type of work that they do, and I was explaining exactly those issues. Of number one is not to be confused when it comes. A guy goes to Florida on vacation for a month, let's say. Okay, he goes to shul on Collins Avenue in Miami Beach, and there's an appeal for Hatzalah. Okay, and he gives $10,000 because he's a very generous guy. Okay, he comes back to his Brooklyn home. Okay, and the guy and the fundraiser of Hatzalah comes to see him, like he sees him every year. And he says, "I just gave you $10,000. I was in Florida 2 weeks ago." Yeah, but you gave. It's true, you did give it to Hatzalah, but you didn't give it to our local Hatzalah.
I don't. Honestly, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. No, the like, who can't differentiate?
The average person is not focused.
Why can't the average person differentiate between giving money to an ambulance corps in Florida versus the one in Brooklyn?
I think, but that might be.
So the only difference I hear is that one has men and women and one has men. Besides for that, the fundraising thing, I don't hear that as a reason. I think it's just one that is mixed, so it's great. It's like call 911.
But it is an issue. It is an issue when you incorporate United Hatzalah, Eli Beer's organization, into the process too. There's
United Hatzalah is in Israel though.
I know, but people don't don't differentiate between Hatzalah anywhere in America. People don't differentiate between United Hatzalah and Hatzalah anywhere.
I think they do.
Whether it's in California, whether it's in New York.
I think they do.
I spoke to somebody today.
I disagree.
After this article went up online, and someone called me from Chicago about Hatzalah in Chicago, and then now they're forming Hatzalah in Las Vegas.
So it's under the trademark Hatzalah. They get help and resources from if I imagine Central Hatzalah, but they all have to fundraise just like Chabad houses and just like Shluchim all over the world. They're under Chabad, under Shluchim 302, but they have to fundraise for their own houses.
And there's a famous case about 25 years ago. A guy died. Okay, left $10 million to Chabad. Okay, his will said Chabad. The will said Lubavitch. So where did he want to leave the money to?
The city of Lubavitch.
No,
I'm Lubavitch. I'll take it.
Who did he leave the money to? There was a din Torah. Did he leave the money to the Lubavitch Yeshiva? Did he leave the money to 770? Who did he leave it to? You know, and he had no family. He was a single person. Had no family. He left $10 million in his will. Lubavitch. Okay. You're right. Who does the money go to?
Russia.
There was
Ukraine.
a big dispute about it, and they went to court. They didn't go to a din Torah. They went to court, and the case was in court for about 3 years.
Who got it?
And they spent about $3 million in legal fees, both sides, until the judge finally
That's $6 million.
Until the judge finally issued a decision after 3 years.
What?
The judge issued a decision after 3 years. You know what he said?
What's that?
He said split it.
So they could have saved $6 million.
Absolutely. So maybe sometimes you have to keep your head on straight before you go to extremes sometimes. Anyway, another nuanced difference between JVAC. JVAC is tied into the Palm Beach County 911 system. Okay.
Right.
So when you call 911. The calls also go to JVAC, and when you call JVAC, the calls also go to 911, because, and this is an important difference, and it's not political, it's technical. Here in New York, when you call 911 for a regular ambulance, it could take an hour for an ambulance, let's say 45 minutes. I don't know what the real response time is, but it could take a half hour or an hour for an ambulance to come, because they're so busy in New York. In Palm Beach County, it's 6 minutes average response time.
They have very good 911 there.
Okay, and they told me, the people I spoke to that belong to JVAC told me that when you call 911, they can send like 5 or 6 paramedics come with the call as well.
Okay.
So it's very efficient, so that's something that also. Hatzalah in New York or any place else, I don't think is going to do that. They don't want to be tied into the 911 system and have to coordinate with the emergency medical services.
Again, the only thing I see difference is the men and women. And
that's what you're focused on. You're focused on the same thing about Yeshiva week.
Me?
Yeah. What?
That was you.
No. I was helping you out. I know that's what you're thinking.
I think it's just about the men and women thing. And guess what? You want to start your own thing, but there's also Hatzalah in Florida. There's a Hatzalah in Boca.
No, this is Palm Beach County.
Okay. Kol Kavod, enjoy.
Is also part of Palm Beach.
Who runs
County.
JVAC? Who's at the head?
A guy named Isaac Hirsch.
Who's he?
He's a guy that he lived here in New York for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Go to the next page. You'll see a picture of him. He's the guy with the beard over there in that picture. He belonged to Queens Hatzalah when he was living in New York. And he moved down to Boynton Beach about 10 years ago. And they have like 35 volunteers today. They don't have an ambulance yet. They're trying to raise money for their first ambulance. So they're really taking baby steps.
I hear you.
But there's no big crush because, again, like I said, the 911 system is very efficient in Palm Beach County. I'm sure it's pretty efficient in Miami-Dade County too. I'm sure they do pretty well in Miami Beach.
They do.
Also, you know that for a fact?
Yeah, I hear good things. So tell us this week's Parsha. What do you got?
All right. So this week's Parsha, besides getting introduced to Moshe Rabbeinu, as we know, we talked about that last week. This week's Parsha is about blood and frogs. Okay? So, since we're kids, we could sing the Makkos, Dum, Tzvadei, Akinim, right? We know all the Makkos probably. You know how to...
Of course.
We really focus on it around Pesach time, not so much during Parshas Va'era. But, Hashem starts bringing the Makkos against Egypt and Paro in order to coax and cajole him into letting my people go. Let my people go. Of course, not to get too sidetracked, because we are already at 22 minutes in. It says, Shalach etzami v'yavduni. Let my people go so they could serve me. That's what Hashem says. Okay, but here in modern times, that last part was left out. The slogan now is "Let my people go," so that they could serve me was left out a long time ago. Because that's too complicated already. Just let my people go.
Okay.
What they're going to do after you let my people go, that's their problem. Let my people go so they can serve me is a different problem. Anyway, why was the first mock of blood?
Yeah.
And why was the second mock of frogs? Is it just random? Like you guys call it, random?
Oh, like us guys call it.
Like you guys call it, like you young guys.
Is that discriminatory versus redheads?
No, I don't mean redheads. Anything that you can't explain, you say is random.
Okay, go on.
It doesn't mean anything, but you say it's random. Anyway, why blood? Pari was like a god in Egypt. It was a country in those days, ancient times, that believed that Pari was actually the god. There was no religion. It was a paganistic type of society. They were cold and indifferent about the existence of God, if they ever thought about it. And the blood, as you know, the first Makkah, blood hit the water. They say the Nile River turned to blood, and even if a person was drinking a glass of water, the water in the glass turned to blood. So, as you know, water is cool and wet. Of course, it's water.
Yes.
And it's damp and cool. It's like a person's indifferent attitude towards religion, towards God. I don't think about it. I don't believe in it. I don't bother with
some
it.
people's.
Yeah, some people's. Cool, very cool. Blood, on the other hand, is hot.
It's warm, yeah.
Warm. It's hot. It energizes a person. So you have that contrast between the coolness and the indifference represented by water, and the hotness and the warmth of the blood. That's why the water turned into blood, to show the contrast. This was the first Makkah, the introduction to Paro, that their cool indifference is going to have to be turned into something that's bubbling.
Yeah.
Bubbling heat. That's dumb. It's Tzvadei. That's a very odd Makkah, don't you think? Frogs all over the place. So what do we know about the frogs? You learned it in Yeshiva when you were a little kid. What do you know about the frogs? What do you know about the frogs? You know what you know about the frogs? First of all, frogs live in cool, damp water.
You do.
That's their environment that they like to live in. And what did we learn when we were in second grade about the Makkos? Where'd the frogs go? The frogs went into the ovens.
The ovens, yeah.
Went into the ovens. They went from a cool, damp place, which represents indifference, into the hot, burning ovens. Okay? And every kid knows that from the time they're in second grade on, but they don't know why they know it. They have to, turn,
Well, give us the panemius.
they have to turn 30 in order to figure out why we're learning about frogs jumping into the ovens.
Yeah.
Also represented by the heat, by which is what a person experiences when they have a deep faith in Hashem, deep faith in God. It energizes them. It enlivens them. It brings them a warmth, a warmth and a comfort in their warmth. So that's why we have the first two makas as an introduction to the Egyptian people, and the Paro is Dam and Svardeya, and that's at the end of this week's Parsha.
Amazing. Well, it's all about the panemius, and this week on the Motzei Shabbos, a Meaningful People podcast, we had Rabbi Yossi Zakatinsky on, and that is all about panemius. The Torah really suggests to check that out. But of course, before you do that, hit the subscribe button on the daily thread on Spotify, on Apple, and want to let you know that we're working on something pretty special for Yud Shvat, which is the Lubavitch Rebbe, the day that the Lubavitch Rebbe, the seventh Lubavitch Rebbe, was in the Siyas, the day that he took the place as the Rebbe. His leadership over in the Chabad Lubavitch.
Also the yard side of his father-in-law.
Yes, it's the yard side of his father-in-law.
Yes,
it's also your father's birthday.
My father's birthday and
my Hebrew birthday.
Your Hebrew birthday.
That is correct.
I remember the morning you were born.
A lot happened in Yeshvat.
I remember when Ema was in labor. It was very early in the morning, the day you were born, and I knew it was around. I didn't know what the Hebrew date was. I ran down to the kitchen to look at the calendar because I knew.
And when you saw Yud Shvat,
I knew you were gonna be. I was like stunned.
Dumbfounded, amazing.
I was like stunned. I knew you were gonna be born that day, and
it's amazing.
My father had just passed away a few years previous.
6 years.
It was 6 years, 6 previous to that, and I just took that as a extraterrestrial communication.
Amazing. So if you want to get involved, if you love Chabad, or maybe you're Lubavitch, or maybe you're not, but we're doing something pretty special. We're filming in Crown Heights next week. Get involved. Hit the link in the description or email us at thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org, and you can get involved in that. Until then, we will see you on Monday.
Have a good Shabbos.